Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this second webinar on EntreComp and done for the EntreComp community. My name is Magdalena Kleim, and I am today in Limahl, a little city southeast of Brussels, so in Belgium. I work for EASME, which is today still called EASME. Soon we will change probably the name, and some of the portfolio will be moved to other agencies. But for today, I am together with my dear friend Madeleine from Munich. We are your hosts. We will try to do something which is extraordinary, at least for me. So to run parallel workshops meeting on Zoom. So before I leave the floor to Dana, who will say a few words and welcome you from the side of the DG Grow, I would like to speak about some technicalities. And this is now a challenge for me because I will move to the other screen. So that's the screen. I hope that you see the screen which starts with EntreComp working groups. Yes. So the program for today is as follows. We will begin with the short round of the table, but I will give the floor to Dana and to the project managers of the 4 projects for a very short introduction. And actually it's like up to date, where you guys stand, what you're doing, where you need help, who can help you with. Then we will split into the parallel breakout sessions. So these will be our 5 working groups, 45 minutes each. And here, after 45 minutes, you will receive an automatic information sent by Madeleine about the coming back to the session, which is the general session, the panel session. Then during the 15 minutes, I will ask rapporteurs from the working groups to speak to us about what they discussed, what they found out, where they need help, what can they offer. In the last 15 minutes, we will do any other business, like how you liked it and what to do next and when to do the next session. So now please take a note of the next slide, because this is a technical issue which I do hope you understand and you will follow. So in order to put you into these working groups, we will need you right now to go to the participant list, which is on your right side. So once you see the list of participants, hover with your mouse over your name, and there you please change your name into the following sequence. So first, please put the session number, the session, which means the breakout group. If you signed, for example, for Margareta's entrepreneurship and EntreComp for beginners, put number 1 and then your name. And only in this way, Madeleine and I will be able to pull you, like really manually, into the breakout sessions. Okay, so once this is done, you will then be pulled by us into the breakout sessions after this little introductory. If you are in the breakout session and we start and the leader, so for the leaders, just in a second, a few words, please choose your rapporteur, so one person who will then report in the plenary about the works of your working group. If you have a question or you are in need or something is happening, there is a little question mark sign on the left side, in top side. Please click on it, and the question comes to us. You are back to Madeleine or to me. The sessions will end automatically. We put it on as an automatic in 45 minutes after starting. So 30 seconds, you will have to leave, to wrap up, to still discuss some details, but then the session will be closed and you will automatically put back into the plenary. Do you have any questions on this part? I think during the doing we will see more. What is here important? I would love to ask the leaders of every breakup group to record, to push the button to record, because we can record every session, we can store it, but actually you will have to, after the session finished, you will have to store it on your own computer. So there will be 5 different files which we will afterwards pull together and put together on our EntreComp community place, which we will discuss in a second. But for the time being, do the presenters of particular sessions, do they have questions about technicalities? Margareta, Paulo, Ellen, Tommy, Rebecca?
Not on my side currently, Ellen here.
Okay, fantastic, fantastic. So here on this slide, you see still the short descriptions of the sessions. If you would like to go and visit a session run by Margareta, but then you would like to swap to Tomislava, you can also leave the session and ask Madeleine to move you. I would not advise it. I would really try to ask you to stay in one working group because of the, because of everything. So especially the leader and the rapporteur, you are stacked, and the others, I would love you to ask you to stay with your group.
Magda?
Yes, tell me.
Could you go to full screen on your PowerPoint, then we can read it better?
No, because I don't know how to do it. I can, because if like this. No, because if I go, I cannot come back. You see? So if I do like this. Perfect. Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then go to the next.
I must trust you, because I do not see Zoom. I just see the presentation. So which slide you would like to see? I mean, I love this one. I did it myself. This is
the group descriptions, probably.
Here you go.
Magdalena, did you say there was a list of sessions that were already pre-assigned somewhere? Is that up somewhere? I can't see it.
Alistair, it was a doodle which was sent out some time ago.
Right. I'll find it.
Yeah.
That's fine. No, I'll find it.
Okay. So while you are reading and reminding yourself what's in the sessions, or in particular session, I would like to ask Dana to say hello to you. Dana, the floor is yours.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, very well.
Yeah, but you cannot see me, right? Can you see me?
It's a decision, so either this or that. So I can stop sharing if you prefer.
Yeah, so that I want to see if you stop sharing to see if you can see me at least. Well, yeah. Okay. Hello. All right. I have a low bandwidth today. My internet is not running. There's been an accident on the network, so I'm reliant on my phone. So I appreciate it now more. Thank you everybody for joining here. Just wanted to thank you because I know this week is a particular week. There are some holidays, so thank you for joining us. And thank you, Madeleine and Magda, for organizing this for us. It already sounds very nice and sophisticated. So thank you for organizing this workshop group for us. I think it's really a benefit to talk in small groups and see what we can come up with. And I have to say that I really am grateful to all of you for building this community and for keeping it alive, because it depends on you as well to keep this alive. And I already reported to my hierarchy in the commission that it's really growing, this community, and people are very active. So I think it's really a good start, and we really want to make EntreComp visible. And I think we're already, all of us are doing a great job to make it visible and to send this message that, look, this is important. It's important what we're doing, and it's important to those entrepreneurs and would-be entrepreneurs out there. So I think it's a very good start. I can only tell you to keep on doing this and keep on your momentum and your energy. If you lose it somewhere on the way, please let us know. Maybe we can help you if we have the energy as well. So that's all from me. And just I'm sure, like you, I'm very curious to see what will come out of the workshops, but I think only good things can come out. And yeah, so then we will keep doing it. And yeah, let's give our best if we can, or whatever you can give today, just give it, because it will be much appreciated. And also by those people out there for whom we work and who we're trying to help. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much, Dana. So I would like to invite EntreComp Europe to say a few words about what they stand and what is happening with their project.
Hello, everyone. I am Greta and the project coordinator of EntreComp Europe. Just a quick update. We are having our monthly partner meeting from when everything started, so when the COVID situation just came out and locked us down. And that this supported us a lot in catching up with all the information that we have to share, especially among partnerships. We are building our collaborative communities. So we already confirmed our standing members into the national countries, and we are going to finalize our methodology and especially the questionnaire for then fit into country basis. So we are proceeding. We are just decided that in case we cannot have our workshop face-to-face, we will be able to move it online. Yes, and this is our situation.
Okay, thank you very much, Greta. Is there anything you would like to ask to the other projects? Think about it, because maybe there will be a question you would like to share, or you would like to invite, for example, another project to participate in some of your activities. So now, Urszka, are you around? Thank you very much for helping me with the numbers for the working groups on the chat. The floor is yours, Urszka.
Hi, thank you. I'm very happy to see everybody today. It's really a huge group. I'm the coordinator for EntreComp Food project. So we are really designing and testing, and our project will assess new training opportunities that we will develop based on EntreComp to best stimulate the innovation and entrepreneurship in agri-food sector. We are currently establishing collaborative communities in 3 countries, Spain, France, and Slovenia, to really, especially in agri-food sector. And we are also preparing to organize different events that will stimulate the dialogue within collaborative communities, how to best implement the EntreComp practices and trainings, especially among students and young entrepreneurs, so in the university environment.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much, Urška. In the meantime, you had some contacts with other projects. How did it go?
Very well. Yeah, I hope we will continue this collaboration. I like it very much.
Okay, yes, we keep the fingers crossed. Stefan from Peer Learning Project, may I welcome you to the floor?
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me? I hope you can hear me. Okay.
Yes,
all right.
We can hear you. We can hear you.
I was just waiting for your side. Well, yes, in the entrepreneurship education and the women's entrepreneurship peer learning project, we are now preparing an online workshop in November. Or in fall, it may be October or November. So it will be interesting for us today to hear your opinions or insights you had so far for online events. This is the parallel session that Tomislava will lead in, today. So much from my side.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, indeed, it's now quite interesting to see what kind of alternatives we can offer to our auditorium, how to meet with them, how to boost them still and animate. Thank you very much, Stefan. So we have the now the fourth project, EntreTime. Is it Klaus, Christina, Madeleine? The floor is yours.
Hello, this is Christina Weber from Munich SCE. We are having the EntreTime project, and right now 3 of the 5 work groups are really busy and close to some deliverables that we have. The task 1, you know that EntreTime is developing a complete new train the trainer entrepreneurship education program, and we started with a research. So this is close to finish, the task 1. We are in full swing to prepare the curriculum. This is the task 2. We have a complete dissemination plan from task 5 right now that is about to be shared. And we are also planning for the Triple Helix conference in June to deliver not complete pilot, but the first appetizer to get an audience for the project. And I think you will also be very invited to take part in this conference. We had some contacts with Urška and with Stefan, and I hope that we can also connect on the other topics, yes, in the next time. So far.
Okay. Sounds already very busy. If you would need some
I wonder if I can share my screen for a second. I don't mean to overtake the conversation. I have 3 minutes. We were trying to keep things organized. So we have a little table for our question. You can't really see this very well. Our question was, what lessons can we take away from the pandemic in order to prepare for the future? It's a very broad topic. And what we're trying to do is at the same time do big picture thinking. So I mean, we're talking here about cultural shift. We're talking potentially, which we didn't, but we could talk about shifts to how we perceive the way we live together. So that's a bit change has to do with economic structures, education changes, for example. So we would try to do this, but at the same time, we tried to be practical and think about, okay, who are we? We were educators, we were academics, we're business people. We had government in the group, for example. So we were trying to figure out what is it that we ourselves can do as well? And we have this little table, which is we have a broad area, we have an action. What's the action that we could take? The actor who is taking the action, as well as potential allies. So how can we make this cultural shift happen? I'll scroll a bit down. I don't know how far you can see. I've made it a bit smaller because we had so many different points. And then what we tried to do, just as a wrap up maybe, so I leave you to look at the different points individually, and but what we try to do as well is for the last sort of minute or minute and a half, we're trying to think about what is it that we can do, or what we should be doing first. Like, where do we need to start this big cultural shift that we potentially wanted to address by thinking about, okay, how do you do value creation, and how do we want or maybe need to do it differently? So maybe because there were a lot of people who are very concerned with education, both from a point of view of parents as well as business education from the point of view of economists are just doing really badly at the moment as well as just educators themselves. The areas that were pertaining to education, including parents, is maybe something where we would start. But then we did also speak about business. For example, from the point of view, okay, the Spanish economy, we had colleagues from Spain in the call as well saying, well, I work in the business, not me, but they were, I work in the business department, something that I need to really concern myself with right now, very practically, that has to do with both value creation as well as COVID-19, as well as the current situation, is I need to think about how do I get business working in my country. So yeah, I just put this out there, maybe it's of interest. You muted yourself, Magda?
Thank you very much, Rebecca. It was fantastic, very much of interest to everybody. It's very nice that you had such a broad audience, so from every kind of business and community. Listen, did you speak a little bit about the mental health?
Interesting point, actually. No, we didn't. Not per se. We were talking about digital skills as well. So at the intersection of entrepreneurial skills and digital skills from the point of view of, I'm a parent, I need to homeschool my kids. There might be not enough sort of technical resources in terms of like having a computer or tablet, as well as having the digital skills to maybe do homeschooling. But something critical as mental health is actually not per se something we addressed, except for we had a broader discussion about how do you measure growth in a country? It's like outside of GDP. Is that maybe something that we're looking towards, which is to say measuring growth in terms of equitability or just equality, equal access? That we touched upon this just in these broad strokes.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much, Rebecca. Do we have questions to Rebecca? I will open chat right now. Is there any direct reaction? No, let's think about it. It was very comprehensive. Oh, we do have someone.
Yeah. Alistair Belfast, I thought one thing you said there, where do we start, Rebecca? Because it's such an unknown mess. And you're right, economically and education, never mind all the other stuff. And we're all not struggling with that, if you like, but we're all really addressing that within our communities, just here in Ireland or the UK, never mind. None of us even have a chance to look at the whole European picture, but it's but here we are, 43 minds all working on things, which is great. That was all I wanted to say.
Yeah, maybe one thing that Margarita and Magda can take away very, very practically, as well as the entire community. Eva made a really good point saying that she'd be really interested to see something like, think of it, so when I put her words into my words, I do apologize to Eva, but to have like a sort of little address book where, similar to EntreComp Interaction, where you have one person or the person or a connector who works on EntreComp in my region, so for all European regions, to have like this one person that I can connect with, that would be really interesting. And I think that would be indeed really interesting. And if you can, I give you a to-do now, if you can break this down into different areas, so you have someone in the business department of Extremadura government, for example, but then you also have people who work in education. I think that would be extremely useful for building this community.
Because everything's connected. That's the thing. Without one, you need it all concurrent. We can't fix one thing at a time.
Yeah, and I think that's also, Alistair's absolutely right. I personally think that's also how you achieve scale as well. Scale is important.
Okay, so the EntreComp focal point in every little city, that's taken.
I think region makes
That's
sense from like an education competence point of view, like who rules on education, but for education for business, I think people who are just like at the forefront of the EntreComp community, that'd be interesting.
Okay. Thank you very much, Rebecca. We move to group number 4. Tomislava, how was your working group? Who is then the rapporteur? Let's move.
Well, although the discussion was very nice and very interactive, in the end, people were a bit shy, so I would be the rapporteur in this case as well. But I can really honestly say that it was quite a nice conversation that we had. And in the end, the conclusion was that we can look at some elements, and we try to, when we try to create an online community and to facilitate an online community, the idea is to look at some elements and try to tailor them according to your needs. There's no one size fits all in terms of clear guidelines on how to set up a community. You always have to really take in consideration, first of all, the target audience and who will be the members of your community. We talked that the homogeneity of the community is of extreme importance. I think a lot of the projects that are present here are facing problems in terms of bringing people from different areas, different background together, which of course creates challenges in terms of making them work together and making them stick to each other in the format of an online community. So this is extremely important. And in order to perhaps bring a bit more homogeneity into the community, the idea is to really try to come up with a very specific objective or several objectives that they could all hang on to, and really create value for each and every single participant and create common objectives. One more practical aspect that we discussed is the need for having very specific roles in terms of moderators and facilitators. These are really important roles, and one community cannot really live long without having dedicated people to really be there to bring the conversation further. Also in terms of technical support, because we are faced with different tools, different functionalities, and we need to be able to navigate easily within these. Another important aspect that we discussed was the privacy and social elements of that. In a way, we are trying to create communities which are with an objective, and people need to feel comfortable that this is a safe space where people can share freely, and that where people really share the same objectives and ideas. So bringing really the sense of a private space for them is important, but also bringing some social elements in order to really try to connect also on a personal level, not so much only on work level. So this was one important thing for us. I think one last thing is in a way trying linked to the different roles, but it's more on the roles of the community members, also giving them a bit of ownership on some elements, trying to use different participatory methods, trying to facilitate maybe closer groups, smaller discussions or subgroups on different topics that could really bring people together to discuss on more concrete terms, and trying to make this flow in a way that people still feel have a sense of belonging to the wider community, but still have maybe a bit more specific objectives within certain actions within the community. Maybe my group can complement if I'm missing something, but I think that's overall a summary of our discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tomislava. The group? no extra comments. I would, yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Very, I mean, concrete points, really well thought through. We see that you are really the expert of the online communities. I was wondering about the online community, not only as the receiver, but also as a giver. We discussed that some time ago about how to make these people be the messengers back to their own communities. So one thing is that they are online, they are joining for the purpose of the community, but then how to stimulate them, which tools to give them to be the ones who are then the messengers back in their own schools, I don't know, universities, but also public servants. They are the most difficult ones to handle.
Yes, yeah, we agreed on this point, especially on the public servants. I think this was touched upon in our discussion as well. And I think we're coming back again to the roles and the sense of ownership, because if you feel really connected and you feel like you have a prominent role within an online community, you bring things forward, and then you bring the message also in the national context. The idea is that you have to really show the value for people to be part of the community, also in terms of the national context. Of course, here we can't really speak in general terms because every community has different different goals, but perhaps for the EUE, I can share for the peer learning that I think we should aim more of really showcasing or bringing the idea of good practices more into the focus, and bringing or trying to show the benefit of people of showcasing their practices and benefiting from those of others. I think that this is one aspect that we should focus on, but of course there are many other. It's a really it's a lot of elements brought together that that bring the community life and increase engagement.
Thank you, Tommy. Dana, you wanted to ask or comment, or is it Dana?
Hi, no, it's Dana.
Dana.
Yeah, no, I wanted to make a comment to the previous, so that's when I raised my hand about having an EntreComp coordinator, representative, hotspot in every region. That could be a good idea for a future project. And if you think about it, in the project that we have, we could also, on our side at the Commission, we could think about how we could do it in a future project. But I think it's a very good idea for raising the visibility of EntreComp. And of course, we'll use the online communities as well. And in a sense, what we're doing here is an online community, so that works too. But if you could all think now about those people in the regions that you know, or the areas that you know, that could be the EntreComp person, I think I could at least commit to think on my side how we can put it maybe in a project, or how we can create something out of it to raise the visibility. That's all I wanted to say.
Fantastic. Sorry, I do not see that there is a hand being raised, so please do shout in between. It's just technicality that I'm sitting here and speak, but please do interrupt. For the number 3, Eleniana, who would like to say a few words, or did you have a rapporteur?
In the style of the previous groups, I will feed back with contributions from Jana. So we had a discussion. Basically, we presented the approach that we're taking to tracking the impact of our project through the sort of, our focus is to increase the use of EntreComp as a tool across the national collaborative communities, and look at the implementation of that within the different pillars. Now, what we've done within 360 in our global practice community, we presented the sort of the survey we've done as a kind of baseline study of who's doing what with EntreComp. Do people know it? Do people use it? How do they use it? And we're trying to sort of blend the research, the sort of monitoring and evaluation approach that we're using in 360 into EntreComp Europe. So our question was, are there synergies between the different projects on how we monitor and evaluate our projects? Because as we're working within 360 and as I'm working within EntreComp Europe with colleagues, we're seeing the opportunity to perhaps delve deeper, taking a design thinking approach to research, suggested by Jana, which I very much like. It works with my adaptive mind. To sort of, work towards a vision to analyze the sort of the use in terms of vision, in terms of understanding, in terms of practice, of course, but in terms of motivation. So there might be some deeper ways we can drill into the data, to the information that we're getting through, and some deeper ways we can analyze going forward. And this has led us to the opportunity, well, are there ways in which we can create common approaches, alignment, synergies between the different projects here, that we can create a more depth to our results, more depth to our monitoring and evaluation, because it comes from different sources. So we had we have an open discussion, and it was a lot of interest in this opportunity, but some key questions, it would be interesting to delve into how do you create this shared vision, to have this kind of common database of tools that use EntreComp, to understand how they use EntreComp. And a few different, two of the regions that were present, Santander and Extremadura, said, both really strongly agreed that, they need, and we need to show that programs have impact. And so insights, collaboration on developing better forms of assessment and impact mapping would be of great value. We then sort of spoke really about the opportunity. So there's a lot of interest in trying to create better quality impact assessment, to understand the competence development, as well as the sort of the development of the use of EntreComp. I think going forward, there was interest from all projects on how we can, on a further discussion, to see, well, how is it practically that we can identify where the synergies could be, where we could create a common model. It won't be across the board, but it might be parts of it. So I think the next steps for us is then to follow this conversation with the different projects. The purpose of our group was to explore that opportunity. There is the interest. It's going to be a process of trying to map and understand where those synergies can lie, and how we create them, and whether we can then create a common, from all the projects, a common report at the end of it, collate our results in some way. So that's sort of where we're at. There's sort of really an interest in trying to go deeper into the findings that we have. There's an interest particularly in looking at the impact on competence development. It's a tough one. There's challenges around EntreComp and its very holistic nature that people flagged up, they feel is important. But I think it's then looking at these projects, going forward on these, there are ways in which we can perhaps support impact assessment within the work we do, and impact assessment, common monitoring and evaluation tool areas across the different projects. I don't know if anyone else would like to add anything to that overview. Jana or colleagues in the group?
Jana, come on.
Just fine, you presented clearly, although, it's kind of very open. It's an introduction part for everyone. So, but it's good to know that we are thinking about this, and we'll maybe come out with some kind of brainstorming again. And but I think that in terms, because we are looking for impact. I mean, that's what we are looking for. So how to raise the impact? Yeah, that's kind of we can have projects and projects and projects and some kind of results and so on, but how to create more impact? That's
Yeah, if we join our results, that increases the noise around that and maybe increases the value of those findings that we're pulling together. And I think from our last meeting, this EntreComp community meeting, it was about increasing the noise around EntreComp. There is interest, there is passion, there is this tool is providing inspiration for many. Let's try and demonstrate that. You know, reaching these projects is easy. Going beyond that is more complex, as a colleague from Croatia highlighted, but it's possible. So this is a starting point. These projects, we have the opportunity to do it with these projects. But beyond that, I mean, I come back to through EntreComp 360, our global community of practice, we have the opportunity and the interest to go beyond that. And through EntreComp Europe, we'll be creating new projects and new initiatives aligned to EntreComp. So this is from the collaboration within the community. So there's opportunity to go beyond, but right now, let's see what we could do with these projects.
Hi, this is Dana. I just wanted to quickly, sorry, Magda, jump in and compliment, first of all, our esteemed colleagues who did this excellent breakout session. And I also wanted to just emphasize one thing that came to mind when we were discussing this, and that was we have to think about the end user case. I think it's something that what we will do to increase impact is also to be able to help and empower people to be able to evaluate and to prove something and to have an evidence base for themselves, their regions, their organizations, their learning offer, whatever. So we need to think about usage cases. We should think beyond just the synergies in the project, but actually at the synergies that many different users who might want to engage with EntreComp from the evaluation and monitoring perspective would be able to benefit from. So thank you.
I cannot agree enough with this, and I read Dana's comment. That would be awesome. Yes, that's fantastic. And yeah, how to do it? How to make this noise? I think it leads us to working group number 2. What did you discuss, and what are the main tools to use? Paolo and
we were looking at how to promote EntreComp. So Paolo and Raffaele presented the work that they've been doing in Italy very comprehensively. It's an extremely good start, looking at the big question: how can EntreComp be used in your country, sector, or area of interest? Basic, intermediate, advanced, and expert. I thought that was terrifically well done. We didn't have much time for questions, but what I was very interested in was the self-assessment, the simple self-assessment tools that they've created in 4 levels, a way of measuring or guiding people towards training needs, and a different take on the business model canvas, a training design canvas, which was simple, colorful, and allowed people to tune their training. So what I would love to see, and apparently it's coming soon, is that presentation in English. It was all in Italian, but it was very good and well presented. Thoughts along the way: open education resources, open to everyone, all of that stuff. In any sector you like, young people, parents, the science, and so forth. Questions. I thought it was a comprehensive way of projecting EntreComp into Italy, and I'd like to see more outcomes. They're delivering it again next week. There've been a lot of operations done. There was the very good content, but it does open up a bigger conversation. One key thing Paolo and Raffaele had identified is the difficulty of education groups and industry. They have in Italy a difficulty in getting industry to relate or want to be bothered to relate to education. Same here, same in other places. However, Rebecca, you made the comment earlier, to fix this mess, we need to not just concurrently, but together take the whole mess back forward to somewhere better. So setting up a community, I think, was one of the big key things. And navigation between tools is tricky. Yep, somebody said that. Ellen, you made a comment about more depth. I agree, but we need breadth. Common models are fine, but we still need this genius of innovation and creativity that art and engineering in Europe has built, and architecture over the millennia. I call it an extremely good start. I'd like to continue the conversation, frankly. And finally, final sentence. I thought the Italy story will help greatly and is very good. And if we can get all the best bits from everywhere else, then I think EntreComp will, whatever, be extremely useful, or be victorious, if you want to use a big word.
Yeah,
nice big words at the end. Do we have an extra comment from Raffaele and Paolo on the presentation? Would you like to add anything to what Alistair said?
Just to say that the materials that we developed in Italian will be soon ready also in English to be shared, and that of course, working with Ellen and with the other colleagues of the EntreComp Europe, we set quite fast a model here in Italy, but there will be maybe other different models coming from the other countries in EntreComp Europe. So yeah, now what we really have to start doing is to try and test it as much as possible and see how all these tools can work. And at the same time, the other challenge, together with the education industry, let's say two sides, is also to think about how to really involve the policy level. It seems, because we had two ladies from our Ministry of Education and Research, that there is a potential opening to that. And at the same time, while we were listening to this idea of having regional contact point for EntreComp, which I think are very, very interesting, probably we can try to see if there is a chance to do something like we are doing in Erasmus for Young Entrepreneurs, where we have EPs who are ambassadors of the program. So maybe we could find either national or European Parliament people to support the work that we are doing.
Indeed, the idea of ambassadors, MEPs or MPs is a very good one. I think the politician, how to get to the politicians is one of the key problems. The same has mentioned already Urszka in one of the meetings, how to reach out. And as you could hear, the community, the online community, is also having the same kind of troubles, how to reach out to policy. It's less about educators. It's although it is also difficult, how to convince a long-standing teacher to change suddenly the modus operandi or curriculum. But the biggest problem probably for us to convince other policymakers. And with this message, I pass directly to number one, and then we will open the short discussion. I'm sorry, but we are quite late. So the working group number one, please.
Yes, I'd like to share some thoughts which came up in our conversation. And yeah, the first thing or first challenge is, in order to make use from EntreComp, you need to understand the idea of competency-centered learning, learning as a mix of attitudes, knowledge, and skills, and their interrelations. And so this clearly has to be somehow also facilitated with the concept of EntreComp. It was perceived as very helpful in order to understand some key aspects of learning. We discussed it with the example of creativity. Okay, if you use EntreComp, you understand maybe a little bit more about what creativity could mean, or at least how it relates to other important attitudes, knowledges, and skills. And so this is giving, selling the concept, or building a bridge between a reference framework to the educational field. Also, in the learning concept and the learning designs, it's quite useful, and there we discussed in particular the questions of competency assessment and competency development. So by sticking to a reference framework, you're always able to have a more realistic and more tailor-made assumptions about your learners, and also from the perspective of the learning designer, how you could apply your learning much better to the needs, and in an, let's say, impact related or impact focused way. So knowing this, we have to consider that EntreComp is one competency framework in a landscape of different competency frameworks: national, regional, formal, non-formal. And so the Martha was quite relaxed with this, encouraging people to apply it, and acknowledging that that there is nearly no educational organization probably in Europe that is sticking to 100% to EntreComp. But the important thing is to bring it also into the discourses and into the policies, the educational policies, not only in school, also in lifelong learning and in vocational education. Similar, like with DICComp, it took place more naturally, this application, in a lot of different contexts, but this is our mission. And yeah, last but not least, we ended a little bit with the issue of is it really entrepreneurship? How people understand entrepreneurship, what we are distributing here? No, it is clearly not. It is about the proactivity, and at the end of the transformation and of innovation, what we want to promote here, an attitude of making things happen and the necessary skills to that, while the entrepreneurship is still focusing mostly on or action in the field of economic education, or only in one field of having social impact, but which is not the goal of the intention of the framework. So, but we have to live with this, and the key word is probably apply it, make use of it, and by diving deeper into a competency framework, this helps you to gain better quality in your learning design, and as well in measuring and defining the progress of your learners. So that's in short probably the draft of our discussion.
Thank you very much, Niels. Indeed, we ended up with a quite controversial statement that we need to change the name of EntreComp into something like Proactivity Comp, or whichever direction, just to go a little back from the business part into more the activity, proactivity, engagement. I will not open the discussion right now about changing the names, the titles, but it's a food for thought. I would like to ask others, do you have questions to Niels, Margareta, who was running the working group? Not much? Okay. LiveComp. I mean, yes, LiveComp. LiveComp is it's embracing everything and everybody. That's the future, indeed.
LifeComp is a framework that is coming out in a couple of months maximum from JRC that addresses personal, social, and learning to learn. So it's a reality. They were smarter in choosing the name, and they cannibalize all other key competence because it's key competence for lifelong learning. So there will be a generation of additional definition issues. But we'll see. It's soon will be out.
Okay, so LifeComp is taken, but the birth for new names is open. And together with this birth for new names, I would like to open also a short request for volunteers. Today it was Madeleine from Munich, from the EntreComp, who was our chief on board. So I would like to ask whether there are some other volunteers who would like to chair such a meeting. I would like to leave it in your hands, in your good, experienced hands, to also leave it a little bit out from the commission or agency modus. Think about it. I do not expect already raising hands right now, but if you feel like such a meeting in the next future is necessary, is needed, it's a good opportunity for us not only to meet, because it's also wonderful to have you all, more than 40 people, but also to discuss very important subjects. If yes,